Hello, this is Ron Savoya, and I'm the Managing Partner of Stratus Innovations Group, and welcome to our Cloud 101 webinar series, The Business Value of Cloud Computing. The purpose of this webinar is to walk you through the framework we use in our cloud assessments on how we help clients understand what the business case is and understand the financial model and the business value of implementing cloud computing for their IT services. So hopefully this will be informative, and let's begin. If you think about any organization, any investment that the organization is looking to make, whether that could be investing in a new location, hiring new people, making a technology investment, any other equipment type investment, they judge their investment criteria basically off of do the benefits, the hard benefits and soft benefits, do they exceed, are they greater than the costs, the hard costs and the soft costs? So when we put together our framework for helping clients understand the financial model and the business case of moving to a cloud computing type environment and cloud services, the main question that we like to get answered is, what does the 3-year net present value financial model look like? And the idea is, if that 3-year net present value is positive, that builds a very strong case for, yes, it's more profitable, it's more efficient to do this in the long run than it would be to to kind of stay status quo. So let's get into how we think about this and specifically how we put together and what are the criteria and what are the different aspects that we use to put that 3-year net present value together. But first, I think it's important to kind of talk about this concept of a pay-as-you-go OpEx model. This graph here could it could model any type of aspect of how a business transacts on a day-to-day basis. This could be like if you're a web retailer, and this graph could be customer orders or revenue over time, with the far left being January and the far right being December, where you're seeing a natural spike up towards the holiday season, and then spike down, towards the end. And if you're an organization that follows this, and this also could be a headcount model in terms of who you hire at what level, or it could be anything of that level, just modeling what your business transaction and business volume is over time. And if you think about it from a technology perspective, you have a couple of options. You could say, I'm going to invest in technology so that I am guaranteed that I'm going to be able to service my demand at its high peak area. But the downside to that is, during the vast majority of the year, when you're not in your quote-unquote busy season, you're over-invested. So that technology investment is very inefficiently used from that aspect of it. The other option you may have is saying, okay, I'm going to invest technology and technology scale at, say, an average load type of aspect of it, so that my IT investments are a lot more efficient. The downside to that, of course, is during those peak times, lost sales, customer satisfaction issues, both of which are extremely bad and ultimately lead to lack of profitability. What we envision and what we see in cloud computing, and the beauty of cloud computing, is this scale up, scale down model. So as your business scales, cloud computing allows you to scale up and scale down your technology and your technology investments and your technology cost, such that it models very, very directly to your business transaction model. So again, because of that, then your cost model will scale up or scale down as your business requires, and as such, you will become a lot more efficient, a lot more profitable from that aspect of it. So that's just a common aspect of pay-as-you-go operational expense versus the upfront massive capital investment, capital expense that would either be way too expensive, way too inefficient from overspend, or a severe hit to the impact to the brand and the image of a company or the sales of a company if you underinvest. So as we think about the financial model, thinking about building that 3-year net present value model, and also thinking about the pay-as-you-go operational expense model, what we've done is when we've engaged with our customers is we have essentially said, okay, we are going to take your current environment and any what your plans for continuing to provide technology on premise, and kind of look at that as saying, how can we eliminate those costs? So that would end up being the benefit side. And then by whatever you implement from a cloud security, that would be the cost model or cost incurred. So that would be the cost side of the equation. If we think about the cost elimination, we're essentially going in and saying, okay, what from your existing, you typically have server, storage, and software annual maintenance charges that you have to have. That annual maintenance could be, from a software, is you get the latest and greatest version of the software, or from a hardware perspective is, if it breaks, we will fix it for you. You've got some sort of antivirus, anti-spam software that's running from your email environment or your overall environment to ensure that you're not getting infected from that aspect of it. If you're in a healthcare type field or a financial services field, you may have to have any of your data and email encrypted, so you got encryption and security and archive issues. You may have an external third-party provider that comes in and provides managed services support on an ongoing basis for you and your organization. And also you have that internal operation and support. So you have internal labor that is focused on keeping the lights on, if you will, keeping those servers up and running, keeping the data environment, keeping the backups running. A cost that organizations don't necessarily think about but are very, very tangible is power, cooling, and real estate, and it's a cost per server. What we've seen as industry averages that you'll see about $2,600 per server per year to provide power, to cool that because of the power running through that, and also the real estate cost for that environment. So again, we build that into the model. Going back to that previous slide of the scale up, scale down, if you have just made a new acquisition or you're starting a new campaign or you've just developed a new product and you anticipate a significant increase in customer acquisition of orders or sales volume, you may have additional server storage and software that you need to purchase in order to build out that extra capacity from that aspect of it. Or you may be thinking, I want to provide mobility, our mobile clients with some automation, so there will be a cost involved with having to do that. Voicemail costs, you may have put in place a voicemail environment in your telephony system many, many years ago, but you're still paying a significant amount of support costs or overall maintenance, if you will, annual maintenance from that. If you're an organization, as I mentioned, that's involved in healthcare, non-compliance, whether it's from encryption, if you don't have the right encryption, security, or other type of issues that make you non-HIPAA compliant, you may be facing fees, from that aspect of it, fines and fees. And if it's an absolute worst case, as you know from a HIPAA perspective, if there is a serious HIPAA violation, that's subject to your CEO to, punishment, potential jail time, and things of that nature. So that's, of course, a cost and a risk that you want to make sure you mitigate from. And then finally, from e-discovery, complexity. If you're an organization that is involved, typically healthcare, typically financial services, if you're involved with a lot of litigation, you have various litigation issues that come up quite a bit. The process of doing the discovery of all the electronic documents, which e-discovery is, becomes very, very complex and very difficult to do. And what we've seen is organizations, they've had to put in a lot of costs associated with that, or what we've also seen are a lot of organizations simply settle suits based off of, look, I can't find this information, but in order to make this go away, even though I don't agree with the merits of the case, I'll settle because I can't produce this evidence for you. So that's a cost side that we look at, the existing environment that we look at that we could potentially eliminate with the cloud. And then from the cost side of the equation, what's that monthly annual service fee moving to the cloud? Is there additional encryption and archive cost with moving to the cloud? What is that on-premise data migration? Get the documents that are residing on-premise, getting the email in your existing email environment on-premise, getting that to the cloud, and any other training that may be needed. So we kind of build that out, and this is what we use as the basis of our financial model. So let's look at an example. In this example, this is an 1,800 employee organization that's evaluating doing an email and document management replacement. The beauty of this model that we put in place, in the framework that we put in place, this can scale up to hundreds of thousands of person organization, and it can scale down to the 5, 10, 20 person organization as well. But I thought this was a good example to kind of highlight this environment. So going back to that previous slide in terms of the financial model, those different areas that we looked at from a cost, cost elimination or cost avoidance, this is the model that this organization had in terms of what their maintenance costs were, operational costs, and what found in terms of power, cooling. They had some mobility devices, and that totaled about $500,000 per year. And they were looking at saying, gee, if I want to upgrade this on-premise, do an upgrade to the latest version of software. This organization was Exchange 2003. They were looking to move to Exchange 2010. That involved Exchange 2010 has a hard requirement for 64-bit servers. So there was some new servers that they were having to purchase, some new software they were having to purchase, and then the labor to build and test that out. On the other side of that equation, what would that look like if they were moving to the cloud? They were looking at the full collaboration suite, Office 3, and this was with Office 365, so not only email and document management, they were looking at the Office suite, they were looking at the Office web apps piece of it, as well as doing cloud-based voicemail. And then what would be that cost for email encryption, and then what would be a one-time migration fee. So if we plug all that together, looking at it from a 3-year model, the cost that they would incur by moving to the cloud, this is what it looks like over 3 years, what their cost would be if they were to stay on-premise with their existing environment with the upgrade, what that cash flow difference is, and then ultimately what that boils down to is what would that net present value be over 3 years using a 10% discount rate. So the net is for this customer, they would see about almost a $300,000 benefit by moving to the cloud. Quickly, we've covered these in other webinars. I won't go into the depth of them, but if you're looking at moving to a cloud, or what are some of those compelling events that we see, hardware and software end of life, going back to that cost avoidance model. You have stability issues and performance issues with your existing environment. You've gone through, you're doing a lot of mergers and acquisitions, so instead of having to do, let's ramp up the technology that we need, the infrastructure we need, the mergers and acquisitions can kind of scale up, scale down with you, and also the cloud can be a great common denominator from a mergers perspective to bring company A and company B together really, really quickly. From the litigation, the e-discovery issues, the cloud has been a really, really good platform to do that from that, so you can very quickly and very easily pull together all electronic documents, whether it's email, documents, instant messaging, and voicemail as well. And then finally, the automation of your mobile field force. If you want to put some sort of technology to your field, whether it be field service or field sales, being able to place orders, being able to get to documents, get to email, any of that aspect of it. If you're looking to do that, the cloud is a fantastic environment to do that. So hopefully this helped kind of explain what our framework is. Hopefully that you see that there's value in that, but the bottom line is we use this to say, ultimately, what is the business benefit? Is there a financial business case that exists to moving to the cloud? And if you're interested in terms of what those next steps are, we have webinars on the introduction to cloud computing and also cloud security. People are always saying, yeah, it's one thing to move to the cloud, but what does, is my data secure? Is my data private? We have 30-day no-cost, no-risk pilots for you to kick the tires, as well as cloud assessments that we walk through to help you understand and look at what that financial model looks like. Here's our contact information. And with that, that is the end of our webinar. We hope you enjoyed this webinar and it's been valuable for you. Thank you for your time and have a great day.